What's up, math scholars? Happy Monday. We have a test coming up tomorrow, so we got to get through this whole study guide in one class period. So we're going to watch the clock. It's 9:36. We have till 10:15. I think we can do it. I do have all the answers written over here so that if we go too fast, you can just look back and be like, oh, number 11's A. Great. Okay. All right. So, who's excited? Woo! Monday. All right. Number 1, what is the 5th term in the sequence? You know me, I always like making charts. I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then have the calculator make my chart for me. That answer's going to be C. So raise your hand if you had any problems with that. Need it quiet, we're recording live on the internet. All right, number 2. Here's the sequence. Which rule would determine the nth term? I would just try the different sequences. These are really weird equations. They're not really geometric. They're not really arithmetic, so I would just try the different numbers. Keep in mind to assign the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 actually to the terms, and just see which formula works. So it's B. We good on 1 and 2? Number 3, which sequence is shown in the graph? I definitely would make a chart for myself, an X and a Y chart. The coordinate 1, 1.5 is being pictured. The coordinate 2, 2 is being pictured. The coordinate 3, 2.5 is being pictured. And that's probably enough to see what's going on. It has a slope of 1/2. You can see it's growing by 1/2. So it has to be C or D. It has to have a slope of 1/2. So choose between C and D. I just look at my y-intercept. I'd follow it back this direction. My y-intercept would be right here. And that's the number 1. So it's D. I just looked at slope and y-intercept. Easy peasy. Number 4, which summation notation would represent this series? The answer is C, so I'll go ahead and give you the answer. This one's a little weird with the parentheses. Let's go ahead and see what's going on. Number 5, if I'll be honest, I would probably just use a special button in my calculator for this one and not a shortcut, now that we know about the special button. Does anybody remember where to find the special button? Because I can tell you real quick. You go to your math menu and you go up 3 or 4 times depending on what calculator you have. And then you can just use the summation key. Yeah.
You can actually do math 0.
Oh, math 0 would get it to you quicker. Thank you, Jake. So, did everybody get B when they tried this last Friday? I mean, feel free to use the shortcuts still, but you don't have to now that you know about the button. You forgot about the button. Good thing I'm here to remind you. Which of the following is not arithmetic? So arithmetic means they're adding a constant amount each time. It is D. It's the only one that they're not adding a constant amount each time. So you just experiment through to get that. 7. It looks like this one is arithmetic because they are giving you the D. When they give you the D, that's the same thing as slope. So let's see if I can eliminate any answers. I cannot. They all do have a slope of 3. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to solve for that y-intercept. Let me just refresh the 16 and the 25 for you. The 16 is an x value. The 25 is a y value. So I'll just use slope-intercept form to solve it out for my intercept. Y would be 25. The slope would be a 3. Did I mess up? What is 16 times 3? Good. And then can you guys subtract that 48 over for me? What's 25 minus 48? Is it negative 23?
Yeah.
So B, just checking them right. Yep, B. How are we doing so far? If I'm going too fast, let me know. Just don't know how long the ones in the back will take. It's when it gets harder. Forever. Oh, go back. Okay. I'll hit this, and I'll hit this, and I'll hit this. We're back. Number 8. Write the rule for the nth term. It does look like it's arithmetic. It is making a straight line. So let's just figure out what a couple of the x and y values are. Where x is 1, y is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Where x is 2, y is 2, 4, 6, 8. And where x is 3, y is 2, 4, 6. So what's my slope looking like it is? Looks like my slope's a -2. It's growing by -2 each time. So I can eliminate choice B and D. I just need to figure out what my y-intercept is. So I could follow it up. My y-intercept would be about here. And that's at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. See? Oh. Sorry. Yeah, see. Okay. Thought I missed that one for a second. What is the sum of this arithmetic series? So I believe, since on that last question they were missing their parentheses, I believe they're missing their parentheses on this question as well. Would you be okay using this special button? Math 0. Jake said I'll get you straight to the button. You can just type it in and it'll solve it for you. Yep. If you want to use a shortcut, that shortcut 4. You love shortcuts. Alright, let's figure out what's happening here. The probability that a 21-year-old male would cause an auto accident decreases 2% every year.
Yeah, we did not know this problem.
Okay, so decreasing 2%. It starts at 100%.
I didn't know that.
Decreases 2%, that's a 98% growth factor. So I would eliminate B and D at that point. The growth factor's got to be 0.98. Okay.
Then what? Then I went, yeah.
If the initial probability is 25%, that's A. Initial probability is 25%. I think I'll look at my answer key. Yeah, it's A.
That's what I thought.
Mrs. Benson had the answer key, so she didn't tell you, like, it's A.
Oh yeah, I forgot she did.
Yeah, she had the answer key.
I forgot she did.
You could have asked her. And she's a math teacher. She's pretty knowledgeable. She wore the pink shoes Friday? Oh, okay. All right, they want to know what the 6th term is. I would just probably continue on my journey. This is term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. Let's just find term 5 and term 6. Oh, my bad. They want the sum of the first 6. S6 is sum of first 6. So I'll figure out what term 5 and 6 is, then I'll just add them all together. Okay? Let's get my calculator. So what's happening on the top? They are staying a 2, right? So term 5 would also be a 2 on top. Term 6 would also be a 2 on top. Now let's figure out what's happening on the bottom. Do you see it? Multiplying by 3. So 81 times 3 is 243. And 243 times 3 is 729. Now we need to add up all 6 of these and click fraction at the end. Click math, enter, enter at the end. By clicking math, enter, enter at the end, it'll turn your answer back into a fraction. You'll be able to get it. So give me a second. It's going to take me a minute to add. So I'll go ahead and pause the video to save time, but I'm adding together the first 6 terms. All right, video people, we end up getting 0.9986 and then clicking math, enter, enter. And that gave us 728 over 729. Sound about right? Awesome. 947. We're doing so good because we're on the back already. Now, fortunately, the back does take more time because there's a lot of problems that are not multiple choice. Okay. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Common ratio. That's their way of saying this is a geometric sequence. Let me come up with some coordinates. That'll kind of help me out. At 1, I'm at, I can't tell. What do you guys think we're at? It appears I guesstimate it to be 0.32 on my paper. I'm just looking at my paper. At 2, I can't really tell. Let's try guesstimating. What do you guys think? 0.22 sound okay? At 3, we're definitely at 0.15. That's helpful. And at 4, 1, 2, 3. At 4, we're at 0.10. So these are the 2 that weren't guesstimated, so I'll just go off of those. Does that make sense? Okay. So to find your constant multiplier, you would take your last one and divide it by the previous one. So take your 0.10 and divide it by 0.15, and then refraction whatever answer you get. Let's try that. 0.10 divided by 0.15. Math, enter, enter. 2/3. That's what I got as my constant multiplier. And that's correct. I just looked at the answers. I just looked at this and said, oh gosh, exercise 12. We'll have to go find exercise 12. If the series in exercise 12 has a sum, what is it? Let's go find exercise 12, shall we? It's funny calling it exercise 12.
728 over 729.
Oh, I would say if this would have an infinite sum, it'd probably be 1, because wasn't this value 0.9986? So I'd go with 1. It seems like the limit is approaching 1. Partial sums. The limit of the partial sums is approaching 1. Iterates are my favorite. Do you remember how iterates work? We're going to find the third iterate. So we actually have to go through all previous iterates to get it. So iterate 1. To get iterate 1, you're going to take a -2 and put it in for x. So it'd be -2 plus 7. What is iterate 1 end up being?
9.
Good. To get iterate 2, you're going to put a 9 in for x. So it'd be -9 plus 7. So what's iterate 2? -2? Mm-hmm. And then to get iterate 3, you're going to take -2 and put it in for x. Which, it sounds like we've already done that. Guess what it is? 9. So it looks like this iterate's just going to kind of oscillate back and forth between 9 and -2. 9, -2, 9, -2, 9, -2. So 9 is iterate 3. All right, number 17. You're depositing a sum of money into a college fund. I heard this one was really hard for you guys on Friday. Interest on the fund is compounded annually. After 1 year, there's 1155. Jot this down for me. A1 is 1155. On all these geometric sequences, your goal is always to find the first term and the constant multiplier. Guess what? They just gave you the first term. So that was nice. After 2 years, so jot down A2, there's 1275. So I'm going to go ahead and write out my equation of a geometric sequence, and we'll talk about how we can solve for things. They provided A1 to you, do they not? What was A1?
155.
They provided this information, and I can use this information as follows. The 1275 can be our AN. And then the 2 can be our N. Does that make sense? And then that can help us solve for R. Okay. So I use this as my A1, I use this as my AN, and I use this as my N. All right, what is 2 minus 1? Can't see it? Well, it might be standing in the way. 2 minus 1 equals 1, so it's just going to be R to the first, or just R. So it looks like to solve for R, we'll divide both sides by 1155. So R is, go ahead and type it in, I'll give you a second. 1.05. So that's your R value. So R is 1.05. Now believe it or not, that actually makes the interest rate 5%. Do you know how they got that? Anytime you're investing money, you have to have that 1 out front to get your original investment back at you. But then this number over here, that 0.05, is the interest you have earned. So it's a 5% interest rate, even though the constant multiplier is 1.05. Now the initial value, believe it or not, is not A1. A1 is how much money after 1 year. The initial value would be A0. So like a really quick way to get that number, just take your first year and divide it by your constant multiplier. So take 1155, I'll just jot that down, take 1155 and divide it by 1.05. That'll be your initial investment, how much you started the account with. It's $1,100. Does that make sense? And so the significance is that's how much I opened the account with. That's the amount of money I started with. As far as determining the general rule, I'm kind of out of space, so I'll do it down here at the bottom. It would have the A1 in it, which was 1155, and it would have the R in it, which is 1.05. So that's your answer to part C. Is there one like this tomorrow? Maybe. And if you leave the funds untouched, how much would you have after 6 years? They're just asking you to find A6. So just put a 6 in front. I didn't think this one was all that bad. What did you find so hard about it? So when I taught this lesson, there were hard problems like this, but those problems were problems where they didn't give you A1 and they didn't give you R. On this problem, they gave you A1. What did you think, Connor?
Yeah, the way it was.
Oh, okay. Oh, because 1.05 is the constant multiplier? And that's just a general rule. You've talked about that since the beginning of time. It's always 1 plus your interest rate to get your growth multiplier. Like, remember back in Algebra 1 when you invested money, you put your interest rate right here? The 1 has to be there so you get your original money back. If I had my constant multiplier be 0.05, trust me, I'd lose money, right? Because that's a number less than 1. So I plop a 1 there, and that gets me 100% of my original money back. Alright, back on record. I typed that in, and I got 1474.11. So just maybe type that in and check me that after 6 years, we'd have 1474.11. All right, you could definitely do this one in a chart, a 10-day chart. Probably not the quickest way, but that's one way of doing it. So this would be days and dollars. You started a job that pays $1 on the first day. You're probably disgruntled and ready to quit. But then on the second day, it pays $3. And on the third day, it pays $9. And on the fourth day, it keeps tripling and so forth. And we're going to do this for 10 days, aren't we? All right, you ready to see how big your salary is going to get for 10 days of work? I think when you see how much you're going to make in 10 days of work, you'll take that job. So $27 on day 3, $81 on day 4, making sure I'm staying aligned, $243 on day 5, $729 on day 6, $21.87 on day 7, $65.61 on day 8, $19,000 just for working on day 9. Suddenly you're like a professional athlete. And $59,049 on day 10. Add up all 10 days. Did anybody do that on Friday? Add up all 10 days? What do you guys get?
I think you went one too far.
I went one too far?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got one lined up wrong. Thanks, Keegan. She just saved the day. So I did get lined up wrong up here in day 3 and day 4. Thanks, Keegan. You get the ticket. Now, if you don't want to do this in chart form, you could actually do summation notation. Basically, you're finding the sum of day 1 to day 10 of a geometric sequence that starts with $1 and triples each day. So that's one way you could have done it, like on the calculator, using the summation button. But the final answer is, for 10 days of working, $29,524. All right. We're doing geometric sequence, so with geometric sequences, here's our equation we're going to be using. We do need an A1 and we need an R. Are any of those being provided to us? Awesome, A1's being provided. So let's plop that A1 value in for A1. It's negative 15. How can I utilize the A5 equals negative 240 to help me solve for R? Sam?
Negative 240 on the left for A.
Uh-huh.
And the 5 goes well to R.
Yeah, so really we're doing the same type of idea as we did in number 17 that you guys said was so hard.
Good job, Sam. I tried.
All right, solve. What's 5 minus 1?
4. Please, somebody that's on video.
Oh, it is.
All right, we're going to divide both sides by negative 15. Ryan, nobody will see it because, as you said, I only have 2 subscribers. All right, so negative 240 divided by negative 15. Can you figure out what that is? 16, awesome. We have one more step to get R. How would I get rid of that exponent of 4? We could fourth root it. So if you forgot where that button is, it is math. Oh, actually, you have to hit 4 and then hit math 5. So 4, math 5. 4, math 5. And that answer would be 2. So we need to write our final answer on the answer blank, our equation. For 1 second, what would our final equation look like? Let's go with Sam.
N equals negative 15 times 2.
2 to the n minus 1 power. Yep. So Sam plopped that negative 15 in for A1. He plopped that 2 in for R. We have 2 more. I'm doing so good. Right, anytime you see the phrase arithmetic sequence, you know you're using slope-intercept form, so jot that equation down. Are they providing the slope to us? No. Are they providing the y-intercept to us? So you are on your own to do everything. When we did this, this type of problem was on that quiz we had. So I always would make a chart for myself. This little guy, the subscript is an x. The big guy is a y. And that would make this little subscript of 5 an x, and that negative 17 a y. Formula you would need to know is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's your slope formula. So we're going to go ahead and start ourselves off by calculating out our slope. Negative 17 minus negative 2 over 5 minus 2. Will be a negative 15 over 3, which is negative 5. There is your slope. It's like I'm riding up a hill there. Slope is m, so that's my m. So I've got y equals mx plus b. So I'll need to borrow my favorite x and y value to help me solve for b. Is the first one your favorite or the second one? Me too. The numbers are much smaller. So let's put a negative 2 in for y, and let's put a positive 2 in for x, and we'll solve for b. So that's going to be a negative 10. Looks like I'm going to go ahead and add a 10 over here to solve it. So b is 8. I'll give you 1 ticket if you can tell me what my equation would look like on my answer blank. Connor?
Y equals negative 2x plus 8.
Y equals. Did you say negative 2x? What did you do there?
Oh, it's negative 5.
Yeah, negative 5x.
I said 2 because x is 2.
I mean, I'll give you a ticket, but that was crazy. Okay. Alright, looks to me like we have found a recursive formula. That's what number 21 is about. So recursive formula starts you off and then tell you where to go from there. So it looks like they're providing the first term, and the first term is a 6. We're just going to make a big long list of our first 4 terms. So here's my list. So my first term is a 6. Let's talk about how to get every term from there. So at every term from there, you would take 2, you would multiply it by the previous term, but then you would add on n. And n is ever changing. There's no button on the check here for n. So we're just going to do these by hand. So to find a1, I'll take 2, and I'll multiply it by the previous term. What was the previous term?
6.
Then we will add on n, and if we're on term 1, n is 1. Good. So what's that going to be? I agree. Everybody okay with us getting 13 for our next term? Go ahead and put it on my list. All right, let's do our second term. To get our next term, you'll take 2 times your previous term. 13 was our previous term. Good. Then you'll add on n. And since we're on term 2, n is a 2. And that is going to be what? That's term 3. Well, it's technically term 2, but it's the third guy on our list. So, great. And then term 3. You will take 2 times the previous term, and then add on n, which is the number of term that you're on. That's getting big. 56 plus 3? 59? And that, to me, looks like your first 4. We're done. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So thanks for following along on the video, and I hope to see you at a study party.